Hello everyone and welcome back to the Over Manga Cast. That time we woke up in a podcast and had to explain manga. Our heated adventures overanalyzing manga that we find interesting. My name is Sam and this week join Jay, Jacob, and myself as we dive into the new year by diving back into Kaiju number 8, chapters 55 through 76. So ring in the new year with fireworks or maybe that's just Captain Mina shooting another giant monster. Either way, enjoy the show. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Over Manga Cast. My name is Sam, and as always, here at the top of the show, we talk about our familiarity with the franchise we read this week. Although this is another one of our long-standing series that we're coming back to revisit, so just update on where you're at with Kaiju number 8. I, as with most of these things, continue to remain where the show is. Look, I'm a busy man. I can only read so much manga in a week. Although I know these two are a bit more dedicated to the cause. Jay, how about you?
So I had continued reading this series in the past few weeks. Unfortunately, I have slacked off. So I'm currently on chapter 85. At the time of this recording, the most recent chapter 97. So I'm about a little over 12 chapters behind, but I had continued reading. And I do intend to get caught up again. That is my intention. I love this series.
Excellent. And you, Jacob?
I am almost current. I had a little bit of a snafu with the Shonen Jump app that's since been easily resolved. But one thing that I can't help notice happen when it comes to me and experiencing Kaiju number 8, I'll be at current with wherever it is, and it's like a brick wall that just stops me. The series is so fast-paced, it's so flowing. Honestly, it's almost better to binge it because it gets you more story. I'll hit the brick wall of, the release schedule.
Yeah.
And I'll stop for a little while, and then it'll be like, oh right, I haven't read Kaiju number 8 in a while. So I've been keeping current in the sense that I've not been keeping weekly current, but I am on the current events of where the manga is right now. I'm a little bit closer. I'm at 93. So I've only got a couple of chapters to catch up on. Once we finish this episode, I'm going to be doing that thing.
Yeah.
You're just trucking along all nice and pretty, and then Matsumoto-sensei says no.
Matsumoto-sensei says, I have work-life balance, unlike most mangaka, I hope. And I say, understood, sensei, take your time.
Understandable. Have a nice day.
I hope he has good work-life balance, because that's a thing that could be more afforded in the anime and manga industry. But we're not here to talk about depressing real-world things. We're here to talk about depressing things in fiction.
Exactly. And we pick up where we left off last time here on the show with Vice Captain Hoshina learning that the severed head of Kaiju number 10, looking like Lord Genome up in this bit, has awoken in his captivity and is demanding to speak with the man who defeated him.
Because it's something that was relatively apparent beforehand, but even more so now. 10 is a fight goblin.
Yes.
just literally just a fight goblin.
He does not care who his opponent is. He just wants to fight them and be capable of fighting them. I want to fight. Fight is his life.
10 is Cell from DBZA. He's a fight sexual.
I just seriously can't get over how many teeth his character design has. Like he's got a row of molars underneath a row of canines, and then his weird four-lidded his weird four eyelid split is also rowed with teeth.
I mean, he puts sharks to shame. I feel like a shark would be a little off-put by this, but he is that.
Another abridged reference, rows of teeth.
Yes.
So Hoshina goes to interrogate him about Kaiju number 9, and he's like, oh yeah, I could tell you all about Kaiju number 9, but I have a condition. You turn me into one of those numbers weapons, and you and I go out and slaughter. That's weird. You're weird.
Yes.
I love the look on
They don't
Hoshina's
believe what they're
face.
hearing right now. They're just like, wait, what? It's like, yes, I said what I said. Take me out. We're gonna go out there. We're gonna kick Knight's butt.
Yeah, Hoshina is stone facing everything, no selling everything. It is
I'll
something
have to go
that
think about this.
it is something to consider. Wait here. He leaves, and then he just gets the dopiest look on his face. Yeah, that was weird, right?
You and me both.
I am genuinely unnerved right now. Does anyone else think that was weird?
I mean, even the lead scientists are like, you can't trust him. Obviously, you can't. He's a kaiju. He's a monster. You can't trust him. And he's just like, but is it too good to be true, or do we need his power?
It's like it can be both.
We're gonna channel the murder goblin in our best interest. That's all we can ask.
I mean, that's ultimately what this is.
We just have to point him in the direction of the things we want dead.
Yes. But the breaker here is, while we're talking about, the whole conversion process of these kaiju into weapons, there is the element and the danger, the very tangible danger of who's going to be, in control, because the environment that we've been following along with has been like, okay, it's very obvious that, the defense force has been able to utilize these weaponry, these suits, to kind of give them the upper hand. But the kaiju are evolving and are be able to maintain a bit of their consciousness, and you never necessarily know when your consciousness will be compromised.
Yeah, the situation with the numbers weapons specifically, because the regular gear is from Kaiju Week enough that it's generally speaking not a problem, but the numbers weapons, they're near Godzilla tier in terms of kaiju. So like they have a force of will from beyond the grave, like they're freaking Kiryu.
Mm-hmm.
And number 10 is the
still
first
alive.
one, is actively self-aware and talking.
Which, I mean, considering all of the numbered kaiju before that point, before number 8, were all just feral.
It makes it doubly concerning. And then we just have these two guys arguing over who's going to use whose body, and I'm like, can we not?
No.
This is going to be awkward enough.
This is in fact a metaphor for sex.
Specifically for number 10.
Like I said, fight sexual.
Fight sexual, yes.
Hoshina is just humoring him, which it gets weirder. It gets more awkward the more you think about it. So we're just gonna move on.
You knew what this was, 10. Just a fight.
It's just a fight.
But with the promise secured, 10 does spill the beans, which is that number 9 has been actively producing these Daikaiju tier threats.
Naughty.
Indeed. Yeah, they're not just emerging from some natural phenomenon. They are being actively and intentionally created. And 10 is his latest prototype.
Keep that in mind. That's going to be important later.
At which point everybody immediately gets their pants going. This thing is a prototype. What? Before we can think too hard on the implications of that, we need to get some posturing out of the way. As divisions 1 and 3 proceed to collide, and
yeah,
they have friendly relations.
Oil and water.
I love Narumi in this one so much.
Narumi, he is a god.
he is playing into every role of like the tough guy Yakuza he possibly can. At which point,
but at the same time, you have to balance him with his otaku tendencies, and I just can't.
Yeah, him chomping on a cigarette, going Hoshina, like he's freaking Kiryu-chan.
Meanwhile, Hoshina is just over here spitting facts.
Yes.
And that causes the most damage.
No, Captain, why would you tell such an obvious lie? I love how, despite the fact that Gen is a complete posturing baboon in this moment, flailing around. His team, his squad does not abandon him. They're like, no, Captain, why would you be so obviously bad about it?
They always immediately have his back.
As you do.
Yeah, the whole squad behind him, even if it's not doing much.
I don't know what you're on about.
Well,
but...
again, Hoshina is just stating baseline facts, so.
Oh man, but this is all the build up to the cross divisional council where they're coming together to be like, okay, we've got massive problems here. What are we going to do about the fact that we have an enemy agent actively creating like planet destroying natural disasters? And the situation becomes even more dire because, if you'll remember from last time, number 9 had defeated Director General Shinomiya and absorbed his body, which means he's probably got access to all of the Director General's memories and therefore knows the layout of everything in the Defense Force.
All the weapons, all the personnel, all the battle tactics.
Which is exactly what everyone was terrified. Like, I don't know. I don't remember if we touched on this the last reading, but that was like immediately what everyone was worried about.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, oh crap. We have a new vulnerability here. They have our chief.
Yeah, so here's what we're gonna do. You know all those main character young bloods that we've got? We're gonna just pour everything into them.
Yes, the youth are our future. The youth.
Them youths.
That is the arc phrase.
Yeah, Director Shinomiya didn't know them as well as he knows the
old guard.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, but it's like that's always the answer. It's just like, oh, you're gonna neglect your new recruits. And then the old guard dies off, whether it be in this circumstance of, being hacked up by monsters and everything, or just natural causes. It's just
naturally cycling out of the system.
Yes.
I mean, to give the Defense Force the benefit of the doubt, they hadn't not been trying to make these new recruits good. They were just treating it like they would treat any new class of recruits. Now they're like, oh no, we need to
they
triple time this.
Yeah, they are either now the main characters or we are all fit.
Yes.
We need to outfit each of these guys in their own unique weapons like yesterday.
Yes.
So that means we got to get somebody in the number 6 weapon, right? You mean the thing that literally nobody's been able to use because it's basically Godzilla turned into a power suit? Yes.
We got to make it work, people. Make it work.
Well, who's main character enough to make this work? Is it Hikaru? Is it Iharu? No, it's Reno!
It's Leno! I love this boy. He's gorgeous.
Yeah, to be fair, he is... There are 3 characters who have strong protagonist energy that sort of compete for the spotlight, with 2 others who have been perpetually rising. You've got Kafka, who is presumably the main character. You have Kikaru, who we don't get to it in this reading section, but is going to have most of the character development of the entire series coming up soon. And we have Reno, so they give it to Reno. Hoshina and Narumi are the other 2 that are sort of creeping up into protagonist status. And funnily enough, we're going to see that being expressed explicitly in the narrative. But for now, we need to see if we can make this whole number 6 weapon thing work.
Because up until this recent spate of disasters, number 6 was the most powerful kaiju that had ever been confronted by the Defense Force. And when turned into a weapon, the numbers weapon was so mighty that nobody was able to use it without basically instantly dying.
Yes, it was a last resort. It's you have to just accept that you are about to meet your maker.
Yeah, we full Kiryu here.
If if you've ever read Halo: The Fall of Reach, then I think it's comparable to when they were first bringing up the Malonier armor, when they put a random guy in it, and the enhanced powers of the suit made him twitch so hard he broke his own arm, and then he painfully thrashed himself to death. Like, that's just what I'm picturing number 6 does to people who aren't a main character.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Reno is he's looking a lot like Genos in this. I'm not gonna lie, him getting a lot of one punch.
He does have a lot of strong Genos energy in this scene.
Yes, very much so. I do have a type.
I love saying the quiet part out loud.
I can't blame you. He is something throughout this little arc he goes through.
There's a couple of great page turns where you get determined face, I won't give in. Page turn, hey Tuco, send for a stretcher.
He didn't give in. Maybe not mentally, not psychologically yet.
Physiologically he did, because he put on the gloves for number 6, and then the overwhelming pudesha of number 6's power manifests as this gigantic spirit entity that flattens him
like a life-size number 6 kaiju number 6 face in his face.
He wakes up in on a gurney, like, and Captain Ogata's just like, so you give up, right? No,
I am too much of a self-sacrificing protagonist. This is going to be a theme.
I identify as the protagonist. By definition, I cannot give up.
I am the shonen boy. He goes through an off-screen 1-month training period, and we then next catch up with him going to do his first field test run, which is also the final test. If he can pull this off with the suit and not, get himself killed or render himself incapable of fighting, he'll be designated as number 6's wearer. And conveniently, they've got a massive freaking kaiju to deal with. I really like the design of this thing. It's this big quadrupedal thing. Looks like
it's a nice simple design.
It does look like a bearded lizard.
Oh, you're right. Oh, they kill it. Oh.
This particular arc is like, I know we've said it a few times in our episodes on Kaiju number 8, but this really is just like shonen distilled, this manga. And this arc particularly shows it, because
I really, really liked it.
Yeah.
This arc hits all of the classics. Like, they all deploy to go and attack the kaiju, and Reno blasts off ahead, and everyone goes, hi, he's so fast.
Like, one of the things that Kaiju number 8 does to set itself apart is, and like, this is something that the series has been playing with from the very beginning and will continue to play with over the course of spoilers, we're only about halfway through the current arc because it's a big one. Something that the series is going to play with a lot, like, moving forward, and has been doing since the beginning, is the idea of basically everyone could be the protagonist of a different series. If you swapped out the rest of the cast but kept any one character, they could easily be the protagonist of the entire series.
Oh, definitely.
It is a very by the books, by the numbers shonen, showing the strengths of shonen, showing why it's popular, why it's liked, why it can, and how it can work really, really well. But the sort of unique twist that it takes, besides its aesthetic, is it's throwing all of these protagonists into the same series and seeing how they interact with each other. Because, I mean, not for nothing, but someone has to be like the main character, as it were. Or do they? I think is not the current like training bit, but the arc that we're going to start at the end of our reading plays into the idea of a different way of working. Because one thing that especially shonens that have been cut in the mold of Dragon Ball in particular have a really hard time dealing with is the idea of protagonist syndrome, I guess. where you have a Goku, and the Goku does everything, and the supporting cast is just kind of there for flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a problem that a lot of even good shonen have. Some of them, by nature of their structure, it isn't a problem. But Kaiju number 8 seems to be intentionally designed to address this common pitfall of shonen writing, where you gotta have the character who is the one with the drive to be number one, and then everybody around them. If the series lasts long enough, they kind of leave everybody else in the dust by the nature of shonen progression. Quite frankly, Iharu's entire character is based around the idea specifically of what happens when someone with the shonen drive is presented with I mean, like, he could be the protagonist of his own story. Like, that's everything. Every time he is like focused on, it's about how he should be the protagonist if it weren't for all these other protagonists. And it's like that should necessarily slot him into the Lancer position. Like, he should be the Vegeta. But like, he's unwilling to accept that, and like trying to find a place that isn't just being the Vegeta, but also not losing that identity of, the hardworking, determined, plucky up and comer.
Yeah, he needs to find his own niche to kind of shine in a way. And in literally an entire field of protagonists, how am I going to hold true to my morals, to my drive, and still
to my
identity, and still be able to shine in my own right and not be seen as like, oh, I'm just another plucky protag.
Because multiple times he's been in the position of he ends up being like a source of like he ends up being an emotional rock, a source of strength for another character to come in and save the day, where he fights but he loses, but he holds on and he shows enough determination that like it buys enough time, stroke inspires a stronger character to do the job he was trying to do. And he hates that. He is resentful of the fact that that is the role he is sort of fallen into, and he is doing everything he can to not simply be that, while still providing that for the team at the same time.
Because one of the things we see throughout this fight is Iharu is having a few flashbacks, particularly in chapter 61, where he reflects on the fact that when he was in the Kaiju Slayer Academy, or I forget exactly what they're called, but the magic school for killing big monsters.
Yeah. The pre-series location.
Exactly. He was, that standout star, the one who always seemed to start strong and get stronger, improving constantly. And he felt pretty good about that. And then he got into the actual defense force, was surrounded by people like that, but even more betterer. And he felt he's hit this plateau. It was bad enough when he had to deal with Kikaru and even like Kafka to an extent, and some of the other ones. And then there's Reno, who
is his exact story, but now he's one of the people being left behind in it.
And it's driving him nuts. But one of the things that I really, really like is, despite the fact that he experiences this resentment, it doesn't turn into like a hatred of Reno. Like, it would be so easy for this to turn into a kind of Bakugo situation where where it's all like expressed as, anger and lashing out at the other guy and, being very unhealthy with processing the emotion. Meanwhile, Reno's just like, no, okay,
I have to do this thing. I have to be in this role right now. I'm gonna do it. But every time this happens, I'm going to berate myself to try harder.
This rising tide can lift all ships.
There is a large extent of he has a lot of similar character traits to Bakugo, right down to looking vaguely similar.
Sharp teeth, spiky blonde hair.
Yeah, and like the thing is, the big difference between him and Bakugo is he recognizes that the problem is with himself and his self-perception.
In other words, emotional intelligence.
Yeah, he had, and I mean, not for nothing, he is also an adult, where Bakugo, especially when he developed the deep hatred for Deku, was a very young child, and even at the current point of the series where he's still dealing with these problems, is still, whilst Iharu is an adult and can, process these emotions a little bit better, and he's very much a hot-headed shonen protag, so just him being an adult doesn't guarantee that he's going to be emotionally healthy, and not all adults are emotionally healthy, but he's kind of got it together, and he recognizes that his problem is something to reflect inward. It's not anything that Reno did. Reno being good is a good thing. It's a net positive for literally everybody. No one should have a problem with that. So he doesn't have a problem with that. He has a problem that he's stopped growing. What am I doing wrong? And that's really cool.
Yeah, and that's one of the overarching themes of the entire series, is the idea that just because you've plateaued doesn't mean you are incapable of going further. That's Kafka's entire original character motivation.
Yes, and this is why Kafka is literally
best dad.
He's best dad.
He has showed up to be the fatherly example for all these young punks, and I love him.
Yes.
While Iharu's going through his own little character arc in the midst of battle, Reno is doing the same, but learning the wrong lesson initially.
Yeah, Reno is on a very I have to try harder, even if it breaks me, sort of.
He's literally trying to break the plateau, not metaphorically, literally break it.
Yeah,
man, that does not work out.
He is
well.
smashing into a literal plateau that even has the highway where Vegeta fought 18.
He's going full Virgil for a bit here, just going I need more power.
The power.
As he just keeps drawing more and more on the number 6 suit, surpassing his original power output.
Yeah, and isn't there, I don't know if it's at this point they reveal that there's a certain threshold of power.
I think it's a
power output.
It's a time limit, because if you use it for too long, it basically does what an entire career in the NFL does to your body in 10 minutes.
It's the same concept as the Kaioken from Dragon Ball. You're putting such a strain on your body. Eventually, your body can only handle so much of this movement. It allows you to super jump and lift buildings and stuff, but it's still a human body underneath that suit. So even with the assistance and support of the suits, there's only so much weight that a bone can bear before it snaps.
Yeah.
This one, Captain Ogata pointing out that this is also an extreme battlefield high, which is just amplified by the effect of the kaiju suit. So it's overclocking his brain, and it's forcing him deeper and deeper into his self-destructive tendencies of needing to shoulder all the burden. And thankfully, before it splits him in half or whatever, Iharu
headbutts him.
He does the let's see you grit those teeth. I love it.
Not like that, Jay. This is not Over Manga Cast After Dark.
I'm trying, guys. I'm trying.
Hey, I ship it. I ship it. The last panel on chapter 62. You can't tell me that doesn't look like a romantic confession panel.
I know, right? They're my favorite couple, but not a couple yet.
But that is after that, it's expected shonen action adventures from there, as the power of friendship allows both of them to continue output and defeat the massive monster.
And then we get a bunch of Survivor's Guilt.
Much. An entire chapter of Survivor's Guilt.
Which we honestly needed to dive into, and I was kind of waiting for this when it was first brought up about, Shinrio's backstory.
Yeah, because during the final push, Ogata has a flashback to when he was a young blood in the defense force.
Back in the day.
Mm-hmm. And we see Kikuru's mother. She's like hyped up that she's a compatible user with number 4, and she's so excited to go tell her friend and squad mate about it. And she's like, "Do you think I can do it?"
And it's one of the few cases where we see like genuine doubt from her. Because normally she is either in serious murder monster mode or Genki Girl mode.
But she's actually like looking for some reassurance from her friend on this.
Like it's not a hypothetical; it's a genuine question. And like, there's something really tragic about the fact that he answers honestly and regrets it.
He hypes her up. He does the shonen thing of like, yeah, you can do it. Of course you can.
And it's like, it's clear he genuinely believes it too. But like the idea that like he thinks about, if I had said no for the sake of you not putting yourself at that level of risk, would you be alive right now? Like, that's so like, you know, it speaks to that sense that everyone has. Like, it doesn't even matter how old you are. That sense of, what if I just did that one thing differently? Like, if you're old enough to like have memories, you're old enough to have regrets. And that feeling of, how would the world be different if I just did this one thing slightly differently?
That very feeling, like in the moment. There is literally in my head, my inner monologue is just like, why did you do that? Doing this? Yeah.
Despite that, regret weighing him down, the boys successfully clean up the monster, and they have an epic high five about it. And he's overwhelmed by the fiery passion of youth and begins crying, which freaks out his junior officer.
Youth sure is great, isn't it?
Yeah. Hey, why are you cringing away from me? Anyone would cringe if they saw their superiors suddenly start bawling.
I don't know how I feel about that, but I would probably cringe too. Just like,
let the old man have his moment.
But you don't know what the moment was coming. That's the thing.
Yeah, because it's all entirely in his head. he just starts ugly crying out of nowhere.
He's like, did I do something? Do I smell? I don't know.
This series has such great expressions. It's a very like simple and flat art style, and it uses it to great effect to create some of the best freaking faces.
But yeah, with that, Reno has officially passed the test and is the bearer of Numbers Weapon 6, thus making him one of the linchpins in the defense plan to defeat Number 9 and keep the world safe. And as he's delivering the good news to Mina about it, poor Okada just continues to suffer extreme survivor's guilt. I feel so bad for the man.
And nobody knows why.
The last page of him on the phone with Mina pulling out the picture of his old squad, including Shinomiya, is just you know what? Screw subtlety. I don't care if he basically says, I have survivor's guilt, I need to make sure this works. It still hits hard.
Yeah.
That's one of the many potent things about this particular manga. It hits all of the well-trodden notes, but it does it in a way that is so effective.
I mean, tropes are tools. They can be used poorly, they can be overused. But in all honesty, I think a lot of good popcorn stuff like Kaiju number 8 is, I think it really goes to show that when a trope is overused, it's hard. It has to be overused in like its own internal thing for it to be a problem with the story. Like, you might see it too much in like it's like you read broadly a bunch of different media and you see a trope over and over again. It's not necessarily a problem with the story itself that it's, treading old ground, like unless it's going back to the well on the same thing multiple times in its own story. Like, that's where, overused tropes become a narrative problem. Yeah, with Kaiju number 8 is basically a series that's a bunch of tropes glued together. I hadn't really thought of it like that before, but like it's one of those ones where it's like I might have to go back and look at some media I previously dismissed, because I feel like that to some extent might be a bit of a check your own biases moment of maybe I'm the problem here, but
but before we get too self-reflective, we're going to be getting into a pretty self-reflective arc for our boy Kafka. So how about we take a quick break here, get some water while Reno rests up in the hospital, and we'll be right back after this, folks. And welcome back to the show, folks, where last we left our collection of our ever-growing collection of protagonists. We had just finished with Reno and Iharu going through a pair of character arcs that ended with both of them kicking some major ass and learning some important lessons. And so now it's Kafka's turn, because he hasn't gotten focus in a little while, and we need to get back to that. He's supposed to be the main protag.
Oh.
Can I just say I really love the cover art for chapter 65?
Yes.
of little Kafka and Mina with their kitty defense force. It's so
Ship
cute.
'em.
Same. It's so cute. They're both so determined.
I
They
think
are.
they ship each other. Like,
Yes, they know that they are meant to be to each other.
they know
that
their
point,
end game. They just have to get there.
Yes,
Canon.
she was just like very disappointed that he gave up on their dream.
But now, no longer.
Mm-hmm.
As is shown with this next arc. As Kafka has a brief flash of parental concern for Reno using the super dangerous super weapon before Kikuro reminds him, we're all shonen protags. Are you really going to do that? No.
Again?
Again?
I'm just saying, we're all shonen protags here. And if everyone's a shonen protag.
God, they're all going to die.
Yeah. Are you really going to do this patronizing bullshit again, Kafka Hibino? No.
Yeah. Yes,
That's
we
what
are.
I thought.
But yeah, actually kind of not, because he goes on a midnight jog. He's been keeping up with his own training, and he has a bit of a crisis of faith in himself, where he thinks about the idea that he's not really succeeded onto himself at all. Everything he's done has been because of his kaiju form. He
they
sees
want me
kaiju
just
number.
for my body.
Yeah, he. God damn
I
it.
hate it when that happens.
I mean, it's Kafka. What can you expect? And to a large extent, he's seeing himself as separate from Kaiju number 8, and Kaiju number 8 is the one who's been succeeding, and he's been riding on that thing's coattails. Hoshina decides he's going to have to intervene in this mope session, because Kafka being mopey is not acceptable.
Yep, I love Hoshina in this entire reading so much, particularly here, because, he appears like a friggin' shadow of death. Looks like he's about to kill Kafka, and then it's just like, all right, and that makes it, all right, and that jump scare is me getting even for you not revealing your Kaiju number 8. Vice Captain, I wanted to apologize for not revealing I just said that we're even with the mopey shit.
As he's putting Kafka in a very violent headlock. Look, I have a feeling that Hoshina has some, like, I don't think he's always entirely honest with his emotions.
Yes, he's very much like, I'm just not great at expressing emotions. But yeah.
I think he's also worse at reading his own emotions than he thinks he is, because I really do think he has a like I think there's some genuine bitterness that Kafka is trying to take his job.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You hesitated. What do you mean? Or no, you actually responded immediately. What do you mean? You are actually after my job. Ha!
How dare
You're
you?
the one who encouraged me!
You upstart punk?
But yeah, I mean, the sort of key to all of this is Hoshina recognizes the very obvious truth that Kaiju number 8 is a transformation that Kafka Hibino uses. It is still entirely him. Like, he can't really unleash the combat power of the equipment in his human form, but his kaiju form is functionally the same thing. So Hoshina is recognizing Kafka for Kafka.
Yes. Right now, it's like, okay, so the power up is you. You're the one who's been using the power. Kaiju number 8 is not a separate entity from you. It's a strength that you have. It's a dangerous strength. It's one that's a risk to yourself and potentially to others. And we don't want to use the self-destructive super form too much. So how about we
He baits Kafka into hey, since you have concerns about the kaiju form, you can just quit. I'll take care of it. No. Well, then we're gonna have to go train then, aren't we?
Yes. As Kafka is brought into another one of the classics. Your super form is too dangerous, so now it's time to do a whole bunch of training on your base form. As he takes Kafka to something interesting. I don't, from a world building perspective, I don't think this was brought up before, but apparently the kaiju have been a problem since the Edo period.
At
Yeah, so
least.
they're just a force of nature.
They're like
Yeah.
natural disasters.
Mhm.
Because he goes to this shrine that has been a burial ground of kaiju slayers since way back when.
There's a mural of a Edo period kaiju that looks so fucking cool. I want one.
It looks really freaking cool. And it's a depiction of a attack that took place in 1657. So this has been happening for a long ass time. Hoshina thinks that this is a great place for them to fight, surrounded by the ghosts of kaiju slayers past, for them to begin their training.
Purely metaphorically, of course.
Purely metaphorically, of course. This chapter made me question a lot of things about the world building. I don't know what's going on anymore.
Oh, but before that, Kafka wants to show how much he's improved since doing his training with the defense force. There's a level of I'm about to get my ass kicked, but I'm gonna show him how much I've improved, and like he gets so thoroughly trounced, he's like, well, okay, maybe I didn't improve.
One of the things that I really like, though, is they get like just right to the edge of that, you know, again, the classic of, I've been working so hard, but I still get defeated by this powerful guy. Am I really getting anywhere? And before that can languish for more than like a panel, Hoshina's like, yeah, no, you've definitely gotten way better.
Which again, I feel like there is some like genuineness to the jokey rivalry that they have.
Yeah. Hoshina probably doesn't realize that he's kind of trying to rookie crush him a little bit.
Yeah. Fortunately, he's still focused on improving Kafka, so he doesn't actually rookie crush him, but one of the big things that Hoshina mentions is that you're relying on your base stats way too much. If you try to fight like you normally do in your human form, you are going to die.
You need some tech, my dude. Thankfully, I have the tech. The tech passed down to me by Director General Shinomiya. That super rad brawler punch style that he was using during his fight with number 9.
And against Kafka.
And against Kafka, which is how Kafka originally recognizes it. He's like, he's using the same moves that Isao used to beat my ass. I've now gotten my ass kicked by this fighting style twice. How novel. I should learn it.
And it makes a lot of sense. Kafka can't really bring out the potential in like the standard kaiju fighting weapons, but a bunch of the weapons are based off of like not really having a weapon, going in barehanded with just the raw stats of the suits. And that's what Kafka's monster form is.
The other thing that makes me question all the world building in this freaking manga, for one, it's like, okay, monster attacks been happening for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. That's already
interesting.
Interesting. How did humanity get to this point with that? Important question. Other important question. As they are leaving, Kafka goes to like bow to the shrine, do the respectful thing. There's a ghost.
There is a really sick looking samurai dude.
He's a guy.
Kabuto helmet, mask,
big lance, the two swords and everything. and Hoshina's like, "Hey, you coming? What do you?"
Did nobody else just see that spooky ghost?
Nope.
Okay. Well, time to not mention that. Moving on.
I'm not gonna lie. Because I had been current, I legitimately forgot that happened.
Me too.
I don't know what that's about.
Yes, but an interesting point in this reading nonetheless.
Speculate in the comments. Unless it's like revealed in 97 or something. I don't know.
Yes, please let us know, because I desperately want to know why ghosts.
Why not ghosts? What do you have against ghosts, Sam?
I've got nothing against ghosts. It's just like, this has been a not really hard sci-fi, but like
it's been moderate sci-fi. It's been kaiju sci-fi.
And then Ghost, it's just a little unexpected. I'm not mad. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just very confused, and I want to know more. Please explain.
So both the square cube law and also the square cube law does not exist, and like souls are a thing. Maybe ?
Sure. Okay. I'm with you, mangaka. But because Kafka isn't done learning life lessons, seriously, he speedrun like 3 of these things in as many chapters. He gets his phone back, which had been confiscated, and he's like, I can contact the squad again.
Should do that.
I really should. Maybe I'll just boot up the phone and see what's happened. And oh god, I've got 500 notifications.
Yeah. And immediately he starts spiraling like, oh my god, everyone hates me. Everyone just wants me to like go away once they found out that, I'm a kaiju and all this other stuff. Thinking the worst, which reminds me of somebody who shall go unnamed, but...
See, CJ, you can't say that because I don't know if you're referring to me or Sam.
Or somebody who's not present.
Yeah.
Fair point.
But one of my favorite bits happens because he gets a phone.
Yes.
He gets a phone call
from Reto. And he's just like, oh no, I gotta answer. Shit, I hung up on it.
Yeah, he legitimately means to answer it, but he accidentally hangs up instead, which we've all done before.
Yes. Like, oh shit.
And it's like, oh no! He's going to think I hung up on him on purpose.
Anyway, so he gets a phone call from Miharu, right?
He's like, okay, don't mess her up this time. All right, Hibino, you can do this. Hey, Haru, long time no see. And then it's just Reno's extremely pissed off face, point blank on the FaceTime.
So now you answer the phone.
Speech bubble is all jagged, like he's speaking in monster speak.
It is the most married couple thing these two have done, and I love it. No, wait, Ichikawa, it was an accident. I fat fingered the hang up button. Besides that, why haven't you contacted us in 2 months, you asshole? They took my phone.
We started off not hating you, and then you never responded to our calls.
And then you never contacted us, and we still don't hate you, but we're considering it now, lovingly.
They took my phone, and did you try to get it back?
He starts to make excuses, but he realizes, and it's like, it's interesting because like to a large extent, it's like there was a lot going on. He didn't really have the chance to, and that's actually true. But he also realizes that he could have and should have made time for it because his connection to his squad mates is important. They are family. And he was using these real legitimate things going on as an excuse to not knuckle down and do the contacting them thing. And he actually admits it out loud, which it's a good bit of character development for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he voices his concerns out loud, which
Wow, communication in a shonen.
I know, right? Well, Iharu also happens to be in the room and hears that, and Reno has heard the entire spiel already. He knew that, but Iharu chews him out for it.
Not even hearing it.
He is not having this for a minute. It's like, I was worried you guys would be scared of me. Of course we're fucking scared. You've got insane kaiju powers. But you're our friend, old man, you dumbass.
And you know what?
We're
If you
scared.
didn't want us to be afraid, maybe
You could have just said something.
I love it because Kikaru comes in to talk to him and he's like, everybody called me a dumbass. Yeah, that's because
they're
you're
right.
a dumbass. You think I'm a dumbass too?
Yep. Let's go.
Well, yes, you are. This is accurate. We get the phone messages and everybody is like really like supportive and wholesome because of course they are.
I love the dynamic that Kafka has with everybody, but particularly with Kikaru.
Yeah, because he's her real dad, despite the fact that we learned backstory about her biological father that makes that relationship even more complicated.
Yes.
But that was last time. This time, nothing bad is gonna happen.
Yeah, speaking of her biological dad, we have a setup chapter, which is entirely framed around him slowly losing the battle within, his consciousness fighting back against number 9, sinking into the void, and that being framed alongside numerous kaiju sightings where nothing happened. Just they
just
up.
show up.
And then just like disappear. And they're just like, wait, was that a kaiju? And they're like, yeah.
It's like there's a huge monster roaming the mountainside. There's the monolith hanging over the train tracks. There's a brain
ballerina.
Yes. Yes.
With no face.
With
no
a
face.
bleach ass looking hollow face.
You know what? I'll give that to you.
It's like, I'm right, aren't I? And then we
suddenly starts raining fish, as it does.
You know,
Shark Man.
Shark Man loves you too.
Probably love the way I taste. And I don't like that concept. We also have Barry Allen, the fastest man alive. And then the actual spookiest ones, like huge oil storage vats that have been emptied by having precise 15-centimeter holes punched into them. And then massive craters appearing in mountainsides. No signs of the kaiju that caused those. Either shockingly tiny and precise damage or landscape rearranging damage.
Both of which completely unseen.
Not even like an explosion for anybody to notice. So, all really, really tense. As everyone's sitting around like they've not attacked anybody. There's been no death, no destruction, just stuff.
I mean, there's some craters in the mountains now, but
stuff happened. Guys, what do we do about this?
We're going to give Kikaru the character development outfit.
Yes, her very own Gunzosha armor, inherited from her mother because she is just a dragon-blooded.
God damn it! There it is. Yeah, it's the number 4 weapon.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't already think that she was a carbon copy of her mother, just...
and she starts training alongside Narumi using the number 1 armor in deep underground training rooms where their clash is so powerful it's shaking the base like an earthquake.
Because of course.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but during this entire like calm before the storm training montage, we do have a little cutaway that I really, really appreciated. If you'll remember from way back at the start of the series, when Kafka first became Kaiju number 8, there was that little kid that he saved, and we
I
see
love
her.
this.
It's so cute because we see a mother concerned about the news reports of the mysterious kaiju appearances that resulted in no death or destruction, and she's like, I didn't think I would be so nervous about a record long break of no attacks. At which point, the same little kid is like, "Don't worry, mommy. No, Mr. Kaiju Man will take care of him." As she's drawing a little child's rendition of Kaiju number 8. It's so cute. Oh, I love that so much. He's reaching the hearts of the people.
Yeah, they're strong superhero fiction vibes of inspiring the ones who will come after. Which it's fun because Kafka might be the oldest of them, but like he's strictly speaking young blood too. Like these are the new guard. They haven't really proven themselves yet, and they're already firing up kids, getting them to want to join the kaiju force too.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I can't help but notice she has multiple drawings. She's been doing this for a while, which is even cuter. She is 100% a fan now.
Yep, she is a super fan of Mr. Kaiju Man. Which is doesn't really roll off the tongue, but you know what? I like it.
Yes.
She is small child and can call Kafka whatever she wants.
Speaking of heartfelt moments, Kafka goes to have his lunch on the roof, as you do, and who should be there but Mina?
The words exchanged, they just have a normal conversation, finally having the chance to catch up without all the formalities and such getting in the way. After Mina is like, hey, are you going to stop stalking back there and sit down? The one big problem is, boy, Kaiju 8 is not subtle.
Mm-hmm.
They literally put a gigantic divide between them in the most hilariously unsubtle way possible. This is on purpose, by the way. The lack of subtlety here is 100% on purpose. It is a very neon sign pointing, do you get the metaphor?
Yeah, but you know what's interesting? This isn't the first time we've had these two framed with a big divide between them. I think this is the first instance where they're both on the same plane, one not above the other. They're still physically separated, but they're getting closer. Kafka is getting closer to fulfilling his promise. I'm sure nothing bad will happen in the meantime.
When you've already expressed your goals and ambition, yeah, nothing could possibly come out of the woodwork. Nope.
Of course not.
Smooth sailing.
But they reflect on their past. How Kafka would always be the first one to he would run from his school to hers to grab her to go to the
Kaiju shelter.
during incidents.
It was actually kind of embarrassing in retrospect. Yeah, it was.
I was in middle school. Everyone does embarrassing things in middle school. Come on, Mina, cut me a break. Yeah, but
and she does.
She does. She's like, yeah, it was also really reassuring. You were so sure of yourself that it felt like you could actually just solve the problem all on your own. Despite everything that's happened, you're still that headstrong, self-assured guy, and it's good to have you around again.
She reflects on the idea that he's getting back, he's coming back, and she's happy about that. But she's also concerned that she recognizes there was a particular smile that he wore when he was in over his head and putting on a brave face. So they have a bit of a... It's really interesting because they have a panel where they are thinking the exact same thing, but they both there's a divergence in what they want at this point, where Kafka is still focused on the childhood dream of them, him rising up to her level now. They're equals, they're at the top, and they stop the kaiju threat together. Whereas Mina is now thinking, I need to end this before he gets himself hurt. Which I have a feeling that's going to factor into some things further on down the line. Because usually when you have a parallel declaration where the context puts their goals at odds with each other, that's usually a bad sign. And Kaiju number 8 loves its tropes. Also, Kikaru, what are you doing with a bad dye job in downtown?
Yeah, at first I was like, okay, is this a Toriyama situation? Do we only have so many hairstyles in the bank?
We have
And then-
we have hit our top line for hairstyles in diversity. Yes.
But no, this is rather intentional because this is you remember the brain ballerina?
It can shapeshift.
Yeah, that's terrifying. And she has a absolutely horrific neuron attack that just impales freaking everyone in like a 5-block radius in Shinjuku.
Sometimes you just wake up and choose violence.
I think every single kaiju has done that since the day they were born.
Yeah, the weird ones are the ones that haven't.
And that's why everyone was so unsettled when they just all of a sudden appeared and it wasn't immediately like a slaughter. They took their time.
Mm-hmm. They were getting in position, which is highlighted rather beautifully in another one of those great page turn moments. Because I don't remember if we know this character's name, but I'm pretty sure he's one of Kafka's old kaiju cleanup duty friends.
Yes. Yeah. He's Kafka's old boss.
Yeah. He's Kafka's old boss from the kaiju cleanup days. And his daughter is getting married, and he's getting ready to walk her down the aisle. And they go and they step in, and it's this beautiful arrangement. They've got all the guests in the seats, and there's this huge beautiful glass window looking out over Tokyo. There's the priest, there's the groom, and next page there's a kaiju.
I knew my wedding was missing something.
Am I late?
And the kaiju just immediately slams its head through the wall, causing disaster. And this is one of an incalculable number of problems because the attack has happened simultaneously nationwide.
They're learning.
Mm-hmm. And it's another one of the things that this manga does really, really well that I appreciate from a shonen action standpoint is it keeps the escalating power very tight between the antagonist and the protagonist. It doesn't have a thing where like the antagonists rapidly leapfrog ahead, so the protagonist needs to rapidly leapfrog ahead and just keep doing that until you get to like
Dragon Ball.
Yeah. It's a very tight race between humanity and the kaiju on who's stronger, because we have these instances of like we've got these super prodigies in this new generation. We've got more numbered weapon users than ever before. We've got a Dai Kaiju on our frickin' team. This is awesome. And then we have Chapter 70, where there are multiple simultaneous attacks nationwide, widespread destruction, attacking civilizations like support systems, taking out roadways and radio towers,
and like attacking things they've not bothered with before.
This real like master stroke that, despite all of this setup that we've had for the past like 69 chapters of manga and getting these powerful protagonists built up, it suddenly puts you on the back foot, or it puts humanity on the back foot in a completely believable way. And even though we're going to spend, the next few chapters with all our cool protagonists being cool protagonists and kicking copious amounts of monster ass, it still doesn't feel like a sweeping turnaround.
It's a bunch of narrow victories.
It's still up in the air who's going to win this war. But we did have my favorite harrowing sequence where the wedding party is running for their damn lives from the kaiju. Another monster crashes through the wall, knocks down the bride, breaks her legs, and is like mid-act of swallowing her. Dad, in the ultimate, Dad is like trying to get the monster's attention. He bites a chunk out of his own arm to start bleeding to try to get its attention. He's yelling, he's screaming, he's waving, he's
Eat
running
me.
over.
Let her go, eat me, which, like, God.
As the monster is actively tossing her up to swallow her whole, and I thought it was really gonna fucking happen.
Yeah,
but,
it goes as close as absolutely possible to the point of no return when
Ben!
yeah, Narumi shows up and Narumi's all over the kaiju.
As he is.
He showed up and said, "It's Narumi-ing time."
Yes.
And this transitions into relatively standard battle scene, but there's a lot of interstitial bits of like different characters are noting like this is a coordinated attack. This has intelligence behind it. These aren't feral animals wandering into places they shouldn't be in, attacking people and infrastructure because they want to. They're going after our support systems that we've been using to keep them contained.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And as I said, it's happening nationwide, so the Defense Force can't even send reinforcements to itself. Every single division is working full-time to keep their own home turf secure.
we also get a great sequence of apparently Kikaru is a mobile suit now because she gets loaded into a mobile suit catapult.
Just love cannons.
They do. Giant robots and cannons.
Exactly. They fit her up. They put her in the fit in the ball and ass number 4 suit. She's got one of my favorite like costuming details where it's like the half cape that's just on the waist.
Mm.
It's like she's tied the fur of some beast she's killed as a kilt. I love that shit. That's top tier. And they go and they launch her out of a fucking magnetic accelerator gun to fling her at 10,000 kilometers an hour to go rescue the Diet Building. And we learn the new dynamic that she has with Gen. Kikaru is his dumb disciple, and Gen is her moronic master.
I mean, they are. They both are.
They play it entirely straight, like both of them have the serious mode face on when they say it. So even though it is funny, it feels it doesn't detract from the seriousness of the situation.
Yeah, it's still a crowning moment of badass.
And we get plenty of those because Kikaru finishes her monsters off. And it's like, okay, who's next for their cool moment? It's Vice Captain Hoshina with his new numbers weapon number 10, where they managed to make this man even more attractive by giving him armored plates and a tail. How did they do it? Look, what are you sighing at me about?
Nothing. Let's just
It
let's
looks cool.
But we also get a really freaking funny moment where Hoshina is he's like considering the the power that the number 10 suit gives and the concerns about testing it in a live situation. And oh, by the way, why is this talking? It's really awkward.
Yeah.
Let's not address the elephant in the room.
The fact that number 10 is not only still alive, but still sentient.
Yes. Watching your every move.
And having a conversation with Hoshina. Hoshina also gets a cool launch sequence, debatably.
He didn't intend it because he's in a helicopter getting ready to deploy. And number 10 decides, all right, here's how we're getting out of here, and uses the tail to slice open a perfectly circular hole to just drop them out of the bottom of the frickin' chopper. The best plan is no plan.
I don't agree. Nobody agrees with you, 10.
And we have this very delightful sequence where this incredibly methodical and tactful warrior in Hoshina is needing to wrestle with the bloodthirsty berserker charge headfirst into everything that is number 10.
They are literally pulling each other in opposite directions.
And yet, because their base stats are through the goddamn roof, it's working. Well, it's not really working. It's not getting them killed. That's an important distinction.
Yeah, it's not getting them killed, and Ten is okay with that because he sees it as a challenge. Shut up, Ten. You're not helping.
He intentionally throws himself into outnumbered situations because that's what gets him going. But I actually really like the way that Hoshina outsmarts Ten here, because he basically calls him a bitch and tells him he can't.
Can't let that lie. Gotta prove you wrong.
Hoshina takes control just long enough to go and dice up some monsters, and it's like, looks like you were too slow to actually help me there. Whatever, I'll go finish up the rest of the problem by charging right at them.
Excuse?
Like hell you will! I'll take over and win the entire battle. He basically challenges his own power suit to a Gimli and Legolas who gets more kills at Helm's Deep. And it works, even though they are constantly bickering. Their power level keeps rising, much to the distress of the science team.
The poor science girl is beleaguered by everything going on. As soon as it was revealed that Ten was alive, she's just been having the worst week ever.
Mm-hmm. The extremely long bad day that will continue to happen.
This week has been going on for over a month now. I'm not having a good time.
But you know what? It works out. They manage to kill all the monsters. They continue to bicker because now number 10 is bored fighting kaiju. He wants to go kill humans, so Hoshina has to prevent him from doing that.
Pull the tail out of the ground. We're going this way. This is not a negotiation.
Unfortunately, despite the fact that our hero units are hero uniting it up pretty well, we've still got more problems. There's more kaiju, including the ugliest sons of bitches I've ever seen.
They're friend-shaped.
They distinctly aren't.
They just want a hug with their 4 arms.
That's more to go around.
The 6 super giant class kaiju. 6 of them. 6 of these bastards.
That's not very nice language.
They're not very nice looking.
They're also not very nice individuals. They do laser beam a city block for no discernible reason. But then of course, we reintroduce the age-old phrase, is love cannons.
Because Captain Mina is sniping them. How is she sniping them? She's literally not even here. She's 20 kilometers away. What do you mean they turned an entire rooftop into a railgun and put her at the center of it? I love this thing. It's so stupid, but I love it.
I'm pretty sure this plan in their head made sense.
You know what? It worked. The thing that I love the most is that firing this thing, it's such a powerful gun that firing it starts to wear down the body of the cannon, so they can only shoot it 3 times. There are 6 of these supergiant class kaiju, so not only does Mina snipe them from 20 kilometers away using a railgun, she also makes every single shot a twofer.
Double kill.
It's freaking awesome. I love it. But this is right about the point where everyone's realizing, okay, so they're attacking our support structure, but this is missing something.
This is handleable. There aren't any bosses here. It's a bunch of mooks.
And given the way that number 9 operates, we don't just get handleable. There's always the twist. And then the twist happens.
A twist.
9 is disappointed that 8 hasn't showed up, but you know what? He can still get what he wants, because not all the pieces aren't on the board yet. As we get the cliffhanger. Because you remember those kaiju that had been randomly showing up? All of them show up. Every last goddamn one of them. And each one is numbers class. So say hello to numbers 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15.
15 is the brain ballerina that can turn into Kikaru.
Yeah, Shadow Kikaru.
And another one worth noting, number 12 looks kind of familiar.
He looks an awful lot like 10, yeah. Remember
10
how 10 said he was a
that he
prototype?
was a prototype.
Mm-hmm.
He did not lie.
And that's when the Master Stroke is revealed. Do a nationwide attack that spreads out all the most powerful units the Defense Force has, and then jump them.
1v1 me, bro.
Except all these hero units on humanity's side can't 1v1 a numbers level threat. So what do?
Level up and 1v1 them anyway.
Yeah, we'll have to find out next time, because that is where we end our reading.
Dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
I love the next part so
It's
much.
amazing. Yes.
So, skipping a little bit ahead in the discussion, I guess, would you continue reading isn't a question for you two.
Absolutely. Yes. This is what I mean. It's just something that I can't even say I regret not being fully caught up, because it's something that, similar to Jacob, I have to binge read. Like, I have to read in chunks. I can't be on bated breath. Oh no. I have to stop here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to a large extent, I think it actually hurts the momentum a little bit. Like, it's not just I want to see what happens next. It's also I do feel that it's more enjoyable to read in chunks than it is to read week to week.
Indeed. And for me, it was like, I actually had a few moments where it's like, would I continue reading? Like, this is good. Don't get me wrong. I at no point did I dislike what was happening. It's just like, I think the part that personally felt the weakest in terms of writing was actually the little 3-chapter arc where Kafka sped run like 5 character moments.
Yeah, that's actually something that I've said a couple of times about Kaiju number 8. I do think that the pace is too fast. There is a ghost of perpetual storytelling hanging over shonen, and I feel like Kaiju number 8 to some extent is a response to that. Looking at you, Dragon Ball and One Piece and Naruto and Bleach, and God, it's all of them. But like this sort of like endless conveyor belt, seat of the pants blind escalation and filler and lack of direction. Kaiju number 8 clearly has an idea of where it's going. You know, I mean, not for nothing, but something that I mentioned a couple of episodes ago. I feel like they could have done more with Kafka having a secret identity that they didn't really explore, because they didn't want to spend too much time on, you know, the story element. It doesn't ruin it, and honestly, when you're binging it, the brisk pace feels really refreshing, especially relative to shonen. But it does speedrun its plot points at times, and that is the biggest like writing issue I have with Kaiju number 8.
Yeah, and then we got right back into then we got like right into the 5 numbered enemies reveal, and I'm like, oh shit, I need to know what happens.
Yeah, I mean, like, in all honesty, Kaiju number 8 is like, not that it can't do slow and quiet scenes well, it does them fine, because it does everything at least at the base level of more than good enough. Like, you know,
It
like
could
that's
just
sort
stand
of,
to have a few more of them.
well, yeah, where it's really in its element is when it's doing those sorts of deep character scenes in the context of a life and death brawl.
Mm-hmm.
It's just better at working that way. I think because the quick pace suits those sorts of scenes better than the slow scenes. That's, I think, why it feels like Kafka, because it's like, I understand why, Sam, you said that like he speed ran 3 character development scenes. I get that, but like it's also a level of Kaiju number 8 feeling more natural in the faster pace of a fight scene. Because like there's like a through line to those scenes, but it kind of feels like 3 disconnected scenes because it's just those moments. Like, I don't know if like maybe putting them next to each other was the problem, and maybe like interweaving Renault's stuff in with that would have worked better. But
it's a relatively minor issue in the grand scheme of things. This is still a absolute banger of a manga.
Oh yeah, I mean it stands out because this is the one like tiny smudge on a masterpiece.
Mhm.
When you start looking at it, you kind of can't tear your eyes away of the lightning pace because, again, there's a lot of plot points and character development I wish they did more with. But I mean, what I'm complaining about is I wish there was more of it. And like when that's the biggest complaint that you can have about a series, that's glowing praise.
Mhm. But we did skip ahead of the usual question of favorite character and favorite fight. For me, in this particular reading, Vice Captain Hoshina, favorite character. He got a lot of time to shine, both as somewhat antagonistic mentor to Kafka, and also just having a chance to show some comedy with number 10.
Yeah. Kind of
So,
have to echo that sentiment just because this is able to really flesh him out as a character rather than that guy that we're hating. We
mhm.
got to see him as more of jovial. He can definitely pull his weight, and he sees the value in Kafka. Whether or not he wants to admit it or not, he kind of does really like him.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm gonna have to make that unanimous because Hoshino was my favorite, though also for a slight like we all had slightly different reasons for him being the favorite. Because the thing I really liked about it is something that I didn't notice in my initial read was the idea that like he comes off as so put together and like so in control at all times, but like I do think that there's a level of he's not as in control of his own emotions as he thinks he is. I think he does actually have a little bit of genuine resentment towards Kafka of wanting to take his position. Like he says it jokingly, but I think there is a part of him that like is like, "Hey, this is my territory, buddy, back off." You know.
Which
Um
kind of like bleeds into the territorial spats that he has going on in the
yeah.
Ruby.
Yeah, and, it's like he has this sort of like a blank smile of hey, wasn't I the best in hand-to-hand combat and Captain Ashino the best in long-range combat at the academy that you're claiming you won every award at? Like, it's like it's
Again.
it's cute and he no sells it, but like maybe there's a little bit more there, and I mean like it sort of makes me think about why narratively he's being paired with the talking numbers weapon. I feel like there might be a level of 10 representing his id coming out or something like that. That's adequately unsubtle for kaiju number 8.
Yep. And for favorite fight, oh, that's a toughie because we have a few genuinely really got some real highlights in here. The main one is obviously, Reno and Iharu versus the bearded dragon looking kaiju.
It's a cutie.
It is pretty cute. I think just in terms of even if it's a, one and done of a fight, Gen deploying during the nationwide attack and saving the wedding party, I think that's my favorite. Because, sure, it's not exactly the most back and forth in the entire manga, but it is a great big damn hero moment. It actually made me worried for a character. Uh, it was a good cathartic release of, all right, cool, cavalry arrived, victory, uh, maybe not assured, but definitely possible now. Jay, how about you? Favorite fight?
In this reading?
Hmm.
That's my problem. I keep
Yeah,
thinking about the ones
yeah,
that are
I
coming
know.
up.
If I have to, I would have to say, I guess, Renault's practice fight. I don't know. Um, that was entertaining in and of itself. There was some serious character development, and it really forced me to really reevaluate. I suppose my perception of what I perceive to be more of the peripheral characters, because as we discussed early on, like this is everyone's a protagonist.
Hmm.
So it was that kind of gave me the opportunity to really see how um all these protagonists are really fighting for a similar goal of just being seen and really being able to not only be pushed to the side, but they all want to shine in their own light and kind of dealing with that internal struggle of like, I am wanting to support the team. I love my team. They are my family. but how do I get the recognition that I want to achieve?
Yeah, how do I maintain the balance between shonen protag desire to be number one, youthful yearning for respect, and also I got to be a team player here because otherwise we die to the monsters.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
It's sort of interesting because over the course of our discussion, like not during my initial read or even during my reread, but during our discussion, I sort of realized Kaiju number 8 actually has a lot of similarities to My Hero Academia,
Mhm.
where like Hiroaka is about teenagers. They're volatile, they're emotional, they're not good at conveying their feelings and communicating with each other. But the threat isn't nearly as imminent. It is an imminent threat, but the villains are coming out of the shadows after having lost. Whereas in Kaiju number 8, it's a bunch of adults who are at least a little bit, and in a lot of cases, a lot of bit, more emotionally mature and stable, dealing with a much more imminent, much more directly lethal threat. You know, the Kaiju aren't creating an apocalypse scenario, but only barely. And it forces them to be, you know, a little bit less youthful in their youth. You know, because I mean, like a lot of these characters, they come off like they're 30, but Kafka is a standout because he literally is. Everybody else is notably younger than that. Like, Mina is actually one of the oldest characters, and she's like 24, yet they feel older than that because of the nature of the conflict. Speaking of which, favorite fight, I'm actually going to go with the temple fight between Kafka and Hoshino.
That's a good
It's a
one.
good character scene, and it honestly had some of the better choreography. Because this arc, this section is basically set up for what comes next. There weren't a lot of big, bombastic, epic, close fights. It was a lot of curb stomp battles. It was a lot of training battles. And I personally feel that the combination of character development on Kafka's part, character depthening on Hoshino's part, and just the strong choreography of the squadron style martial art stood out to me as the most visually appealing of all of the fights.
All right. Good selections all. And thank you everyone once again for tuning in to the Over Manga Cast. As always, you can find us on all of your social medias where we are at Over Manga Cast.
We are also on YouTube, where you can like, comment, and subscribe. Our episodes over there are on a 2-week delay, so if you want to catch up with our most up-to-date stuff, you can head over to overmangacast.com. That has a comment feature as well. Give us some suggestions, some recommendations. Burn us out on some tropes so that we can complain about your favorite series and drive even more engagement.
And we, of course, appreciate any 5-star reviews or thumbs up you can give us on all your podcatchers of choice. And make sure to tune in next time when we're reading Dungeon Meshi, chapters 1 through 13. If you're keeping up with the show, read that. And good night, everybody.
Good night.
Look, once I say good night, sorry guys, my shirt is talking to me. It's a whole thing.
Without Matt here, someone had to do the bet.
Yes.